selected to go on this group that was going to go to Agua Sucia, which, if you speak Spanish, that means dirty water. The people who were picked to go on this hike were the people who were more into hiking. The reason I say this is because it was not an easy hike. This is not your like Sunday afternoon, let's bring the family out on a walk. Like, this was a hard hike. Jose, one of our leaders at Mercy International, described the difference between the two hikes to us. He was like, Las Crucitas is like this. Agua Sucia is like this. Like, it was literally moving from one mountain to the next. And it was going to be hard work. We were leaving at 7 in the morning, and fingers crossed get back before dark, which sunset was at 7 at night. So it was going to be a long, hard day. So we started off on our hike, and the first part was pretty easy. It was just kind of working our way down one mountain, and then we crossed a river, and that was really wild and really fun. But then it started to get hard because it was time to go up this mountain. It was kind of at a like peak point in the day where it's really hot and the sun is just beating down on you, and it was really bad. And about halfway up that hill to get to Agua Sucia, I was sucking on my camelback, which if you don't know what that is, it's a like a big water thing that you put on your back, and since it's in your backpack, you can't really like see it and gauge like how much you're drinking. I'm sucking on it, and I get my last sip, and I'm like, I'm out of water. Crud. I had a little Nalgene left, and like the one thing you need in the wilderness is water. And I had been sick for the last like 2 days, so I really hadn't eaten anything. I was like, shoot, this ain't good. So I was gonna try and conserve my Nalgene of water, but it was too hot. I couldn't do it. I had to drink my water, like, and so by the time we arrived in this village, I was completely out, along with like 2/3 of our team, completely out of water, and we still had a long way to go. But so we arrived in this village, and we did our vacation Bible school, and before we came there, they asked 7 of us in the Kairos class if we would do teachings. And I don't know what on earth possessed me to raise my hand and offer to do a teaching, because I really hate it. Like, I get so nervous, and I really just don't like it. And Jose, the leader guy, said that the group in Agua Sucia wanted us to do a teaching. And the other people in the group had all already gone, and I was like, dang it, it's gonna be me. And I'm like trying to hide behind Andrew so they can't see me to pick me, but they saw me anyway. They picked me to do the teaching. And I did not want to do it for 2 reasons. One was that I had left my notes at home. When we got to Honduras, they made us completely change our teaching, because it wasn't, like they wanted us to do something different. And so like this teaching that I had prepared beforehand, I had like memorized, I had to completely throw that away and start a new one. And I wasn't really confident in it, and the only thing I had with me was my leader's Bible. I had nothing else to go off of. The second reason I didn't want to do it was that this village that we were in had no church, they had no pastor, and they'd only known Jesus for a year. They got reached by the gospel for the first time 1 year ago. And that was a lot of pressure on me, because that meant I was going to be the spiritual leader for the day, and I had nothing to go off of. And honestly, I haven't been a Christian much longer than they have. For those of you who don't know me well, it's almost 2 years. So I was like pretty freaking out a little bit. And so we started to sit in the circle, and I was about to start doing my teaching, and really had no idea what I was going to talk about. And we passed around this newspaper, and I don't know if you guys heard about it in the news. If you didn't, I think you should have, but 400 men were burned alive in prison in Honduras while we were there, which is horrendous and horrible. And as we're reading through the newspaper, it reminded me of what I had written my new teaching on. And I kind of like sewn in this Bible story a little bit, but it wasn't like the focus of my teaching. But the story was about Paul and Silas when they were in prison and they saved the prison guard. And God spoke to me, and he was like, Megan, you don't have your teaching, but you have my Bible. And my Bible is my teaching, and these people, they don't need to hear what you want to say. Like, they need to hear what I have to say to them. And I had the best teaching in my hands, and I was completely ignoring that and freaking out because I didn't have what I wanted to say. But I had God's word in my hands. And so I don't even remember what I said to them. I know I read the story and explained it, but I can't remember a word of it. But I think that's the most fulfilling thing, to not be able to remember what you said, because that means it wasn't me talking. the end of the day came, and we were about to have our hike back, and reality kind of started to like set in again, that like, we don't have water, it's a long hike back, most of us were out of food too, and it was pretty nerve-wracking, because if you like faint out in the mountains out there, like there's no one there to help you out, like one of my teammates would have to carry me back, and we prayed and prayed throughout the day that somehow water would be provided, but I mean, the name of the town is Dirty Water, like, what are we gonna do with that? And we looked down the hill, and there's this guy named Henry, and he is the leader of Mercy International, and he had made like tentative plans to come up and talk to the people in Agua Sucia that day about planting a church, and he happened to show up, and he happened to bring with him 10 gallons of water, which was just enough for us to fill up our water bottles to make it back to camp safe and hydrated. And that was like, whoa, God, you just provided clean, drinkable water for us in a town called Dirty Water. Thank you. I ain't done.
They're applauding God, not you.
Okay, God makes innumerable promises to us in His Word, but the one that really hit me while we were there was in Matthew 6:33, where it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and He will give you everything you need." This includes like your basic needs and your obvious needs like water, and the not so obvious but crucial needs of knowing the words to say to a group of Indians who've only known Jesus for a year. Even more interesting was that this biblical truth, while it like very tangibly proved itself to me in Honduras, proved itself to me even more when I got home. I don't think most of you know this about me, but I am passionate about Latin America, and I'm planning on being a missionary there after this Kairos season is done. And it was really hard for me to accept that I went to Guatemala over spring break too, so it was like 5 weeks of being in Latin America, which is my passion and my love, and really like questioning God, like why the heck am I in Minnesota right now? Because that's where I want to be. And when I came back, He was still giving me everything I needed. He was giving me friends to talk to about it. He gave me nice weather. That was awesome. I was expecting coming back from 90 degrees into snow, and it was like 70 degrees in Minnesota when I landed after that, and that was awesome. And really, I'm not just saying this is 100% true. The only thing that I talked about missing from the United States when I was in Honduras was this youth group, and that's not a joke. So, like, such a blessing to be able to, go you guys, seriously. And so it was such a blessing to be able to like come back here and share this with you guys. Like God is still providing me with what I need, but like I need to hold up my end of the deal. Like I need to be seeking Him first before I seek out Latin America or missions overseas. I need to be seeking Him and what He wants from me. And that goes for all of us. Like when you think about it, God provides you water and food and everything you need every day. And we don't realize that until we don't have water to drink and we don't know if we're going to make it. But like, are we always holding up our end of the deal? Are we always seeking God before what we want? So that's what I learned, and that's what I challenge you guys to